Hello and welcome to episode 6 of No Whining, coming at you right now. After today, we will have been through our first 6 episodes and our first 12 wines, so our first full menu of wine, if you will. Let's get into our first wine that we are tasting today. This is a 2020 Paso das Bruxas. This is a $20 to $25 bottle of wine. The name, by the way, Paso das Bruxas, translates to House of Witches. So there's that. This is from producer Familia Torres, and the grape variety in this is Albariño. So this will be a new one for us as well. All right, this is coming out of the region of Rías Baixas, which is on the southwest coast of Galicia in Spain. It's interesting because this is a very wet and cool climate. It's not what you would typically think of when you're thinking Spain, right? Which is much warmer climate, much more dry. This is not that place. It's actually very lush and green, just like the Ireland coast and Galicia's Irish roots. So it's really interesting to look into history. I'm not going to go into that here, but again, as with all the videos, if you hear something that piques your interest, that you want to look into more, you definitely should, right? Because that's what's going to kind of help you branch out and learn about things that help you be more passionate about the wines that we're tasting, learn about the history, where things come from. These vines were trained on pergola trellis system, right? So on a pergola trellis, so you think about like it's keeping the vines up, and like why would that be important? Well, it's because there's so much moisture here. If you think about the Oregon or the Washington coast where it's really, really lush and green, well, this is also in an area where the inlets of the ocean are right there, and there's lots of precipitation. It's very, very green. That can become a problem. The grapes get kind of bogged down with all the moisture. You can have all kinds of problems. You can have fungus develop. And so what the trellis system does is it keeps everything up off the ground and allows for that cool ocean breeze to come in and keep the grapes from getting overly damp. This particular wine, some of the details of the fermentation, it took place in temperature controlled stainless steel tanks for 16 days. This wine had 2 hours of contact with the skins. This is coming from the vintage notes. In 2020, so this is the quote, in 2020, temperatures during the vineyard's growth cycle were higher than the year previous, but normalized during the grape ripening period. In terms of precipitation, and this is the important part, it rained considerably less until August, after which rainfall was more abundant and cumulative precipitation was higher than that recorded for the same period in 2019. Why is this interesting? August is right at the beginning of harvest for these type of grapes, right at the beginning of harvest. And what that can mean is if there's too much moisture, the grapes can become a little bit diluted in their flavor. So what would be actually really interesting would actually be to take this wine and compare the prior year's vintage and drink it right next to the 2020 and see if we can sense any differences there. So these are the type of things when you look up about the vintage, about how the fermentation, about how the grapes were handled, they can give you clues into what you might be able to expect out of the wine itself. All right, let's get into this first wine. I'm getting yellow apple. I'm getting pear from this. I'm getting citrus, a little bit of lemon for sure. On the jaws with this, I'm also getting some grass, some mineral notes, in addition to apricot, which I didn't pick up on earlier. This is a dry wine. It is, I would say, in terms of body, light to medium minus. It's got really high acidity, moderate in terms of alcohol, probably like 13%. Yes, 13% alcohol by volume. I enjoy this a lot. I again, have never had this grape variety before, and it's quite delectable. This is crisp. It's bright with refreshing acidity and fruit flavors. It's got a pleasant length on it, and then it's got this nice, fresh citrus finish. This is a great wine. I'm loving it. So wine number 1, we are happy with you. Let us move now to wine number 2. All right, here we go. This is a 2023 Cabernet Sauvignon, and this is also right around $20 to $25. This is from producer The Fableist. That is the name of the wine company. And the grape varieties on this are 96% Cabernet Sauvignon, 2% Petit Verdot, 1% Petit Syrah, and 1% Malbec. This is coming from Paso Robles in California's Central Coast. And there's actually some really amazing wines coming from this area. It's not as built up or as well known and sort of fancy schmancy as Napa Valley, but it's a place you definitely shouldn't ignore. There's some great wines coming from here. This particular wine was fermented in stainless steel tanks with native yeast, not commercial, so native yeast, and aged in a majority American oak barrels, with 12% of those being new oak barrels. The producer said on their website that 2023 is potentially the most ideal growing vintage to date for them. So that's pretty stinking exciting. Okay, let's get into this. I'm going to call this a deep ruby color. All right, picking up a lot of black fruit from that. Okay, we've got blackberry, plum. There's some black currant in there, which is really nice. There's also black cherry in there. Actually, some rose petal, a little bit of vanilla, and like the faintest hint of some smoke. So that has a really interesting and pretty complex nose on it. Let's try it on the jaws and see how she does. This is really good, you guys. This is a big, bold red with strong tannins and fruit flavors, basically from start to finish. And it just has, it's got good length, right? Like it just keeps lasting, and it's got decent complexity, not tremendous. And it's finishing with black currant, which is a flavor that I find quite delightful. I'm thrilled with that, right? For a $20 to $25 bottle of wine, that is well worth it in my opinion. So was the one before it. I cannot pick a winner out of these two. I think actually that means they're both winners in my book. So I hope you enjoyed both of these as well. And we, before we wrap up, have a little surprise. A few days ago, Costco delivered to my door this 2-pack. Not Tupac, that's different. Costco delivered this 2-pack. Okay. A couple of days ago, Costco delivered to my door this 2-pack of Lucky Charms. And I was puzzled. I thought to myself, why did they deliver Lucky Charms? Because although I find them quite delicious, it's not part of my nutrition plan. So I was confused. I didn't know why they had shown up in my life, but I know today. Because do you know what today is? Today is St. Paddy's Day. And we finished our first menu of wine today. I'm going to come back. I'm going to circle back to this. Hang on. Because what I want to do is pick my favorite red from this first menu, and I want to pick my favorite white or non-red, okay? And I'm going to start with the runners-up. Here we go on the whites. This is the 2021 Hamilton Russell Chardonnay from the Hemel Enarda Valley in South Africa. This Chardonnay was absolutely awesome. Decent price point. I think it was like $40. So this was really, really good. I was very pleased with that. Okay. In our reds, we have the 2022 Tempranillo from producer Bolber. And this came out of, again, Spain from the La Mancha region. Delightful, delightful, delightful wine, rich fruit flavors, solid tannins and texture, but it was nice and soft and supple and just a well-balanced wine. I love this. All right, it's time to announce our winners. The first one I picked was the 2023 Manu Sauvignon Blanc from the Steve Bird Winery in Marlborough, New Zealand. This was such a just crisp, refreshing, delicious wine. Great acidity. I love the balance of it. So very drinkable. You could drink this wine all day long. You probably shouldn't, but you certainly could. So that's winner number one. Okay, and the red wine that I picked was the 2018 Casa de Vinos Cardón from the Valle de Guadalupe in Mexico. This was magnificent. This is the wine I told you about, the first one I fell in love with. And despite the fact that I have had this stored in not the best conditions, since apparently it came out in like 2018 or whatever, and it's now 2025, this was seriously impressive to me. Such a delicious wine. Again, if you can get your hands on it in the States, I think you can only get it in California, but it's probably honestly worth the trip down to Mexico. And by the way, if you get some and you want to send me a case, I wouldn't mind, because this was absolutely awesome. So here they are, the two that won our St. Paddy's Day and our Lucky Charms Award. Why is it the Lucky Charms Award? Well, if you remember back to your childhood, it's because they're magically delicious. All right, guys, I hope you had as much fun as I have in these first 6 episodes. Thank you for joining me, and we will see you in the next one.